Hey everyone, my name is David Aguzzi. To introduce myself, I am Grappling Industries owner and main promoter. Grappling Industries being one of Canada's largest grappling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments in the country, obviously. In this video, what I wanted to do is, as a promoter, I wanted to share my opinion of why I believe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu does not belong in the Olympics, actually. Now, before I start, I just want to tell everyone, I know a lot of people will not agree with what I have to say. A lot of the die-hard Jiu-Jitsu fans and competitors are going to want it in the Olympics. But there's a portion of us who believe that it doesn't actually belong in the Olympics. And this is why. Number one, first of all, I heard Hillary Williams talking on a podcast a couple of days ago, and she made a very interesting point that there's just too many changes in the rules between organizations and tournaments that to make the IOC or the international community happy with one set of rules for the Olympics and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would be kind of difficult. And that could be one of the biggest flaws, making everyone happy, not just from a rules base, but just how to organize such an event. So making everyone happy is going to be one of the biggest issues in holding Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the Olympics. Another huge issue is the black belt situation. As I like to describe it, in the Olympics, it's not going to be open to whites, blues, purples, and brown belts. It'll be just black belt like it is in the other martial arts like Taekwondo and Judo. And in this situation, although Brazil has a lot of black belts, and America is developing a lot of black belts as well, there's a lot of other countries that just don't have the black belt, the masses of black belts that you need to actually have qualifiers to actually qualify the best competitors into a tournament like the Olympics. So what I see happening in this situation is countries like Canada, where a lot of our black belts are in the masters divisions now, and although we have a lot of emerging grapplers who are black belts now, it's going to be hard for them to qualify because they're going to have mixed qualifications where they're going to have to compete in the States. Or if we have our own qualifications, like some countries, the best person might be a brown belt. So how do you constitute putting a brown belt into the Olympics when it should just be black belt? And there's a lot of cases, like if it's gi or no gi, for example, there's cases like where Marcelo Garcia, he beat Renzo Gracie in ADCC, and he was only a brown belt at that time, I believe, or when he had beaten Shaolin at least. And there's other situations where there's guys who are purple belt competing in ADCC. But would it work that way in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, especially if it was the gi model of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the Olympics? It would have to be just black belts. And what I'm saying is I don't think all the countries have that mass of black belts yet able to compete at that Olympic level, especially against the Americans and the Brazilians. Then we have the issue of which leads into medals. If you look at the average Jiu-Jitsu tournament, if you look at IBJJF, there's about 8 or 9 weight classes. That would make 8 or 9 weight classes of black belts in the Olympics, meaning that there will be about 24 to 27 medals given out if we're using all the weight classes. If we dumb it down to, let's say, 5 weight classes, then that'll be like 15 medals, unless we give out double bronzes in the Olympics. In that situation, you can see 90%, if you're looking at the Mondials and ADCC, you can see 90% or more of those medals going to Brazil. And although I don't have a problem with that, I think the IOC is going to have a major problem with that for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's hard to constitute a country getting 20 medals in one sport while they're not getting the same type of frequency in other sports. Adding 20 medals onto a country's medal tally, you're really getting into a lot of medals at that point, and it's going to change the medal standings based on what other sports have, I think, and how they're split up. Even if we have 15 medals in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or 20 medals in the Olympics, based on 20, I think at least 15 would go to Brazil, and that's 15 plus onto their medal standings they already have. So that's where I think a huge complication comes into place with the IOC. They'll probably look at that and be like, well, I don't think the rest of the world, like I said with the black belt situation, has enough opportunity to win enough of these medals to be able to make this martial art a fair, equal opportunity for all countries to take as many medals from. So that's a huge issue I see as well. And then the last big issue I see is, and I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this as well, but jiu-jitsu is not a spectator sport. And it's sad to say, but it really isn't. It's a breakdown. It got popular because of MMA, because of UFC, but it never got popular by being looked at by itself. Wrestling is a sport where many more people do it than in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but at the same time, even they don't watch wrestling in the Olympics, or there's not wrestling on TV. Even though the rules are complex, people still understand it's one wrestling the other to the ground. Where in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, not only are not a lot of people educated about what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, but watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they wouldn't understand very much of it. And at that level of black belt, that's something else Hillary Williams had said on that podcast I mentioned, Just a Gi Talk with Hillary Williams. She also said that it doesn't belong on TV as well, because at the higher levels of black belt, basically what happens is the matches are so tight that not a lot happens. And that's very hard for people who are uneducated on the sport to actually want to tune into TV. If people don't want to watch it on TV, then the Olympics are just going to make it a side event. And eventually it's going to end up like wrestling, where if it's not getting TV exposure or lots of media exposure, then they're going to cut it. This is an issue that I think that we're going to have a hard time with. In Jiu-Jitsu especially, we're a streaming culture where we like to watch fights streamed afterwards. I think Metamoris or Copopodio or even the IBJJF, a lot of their fights, people watch most of them streamed afterwards on YouTube or free trackers, for example. But see, that's the issue with the Olympics. We have to watch it live, and I think that's going to be a situation where a lot of us are not going to watch it live because it's going to be at an awkward time of the day. And even if the jiu-jitsu people watch it, the competitors and people who love jiu-jitsu watching the Olympics to support it, I think there's still not going to be enough of us watching it to actually constitute it being on TV yet. So these are several reasons I wanted to bring up why I don't believe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu belongs in the Olympics yet, and why I don't think it's going to belong in the Olympics for a very long time to come. Maybe one day, but it definitely does not belong in the Olympics right now. And these are my reasons why. So feel free to debate. Feel free to comment on the video or comment on the website where we posted it. So guys, thank you very much. And let's just conversate on the issue.